Today we're taking a look at a Squier Affinity Stratocaster. This one is basically brand new. It's only a few months old. I'm going to give you a few things to look out for when buying, especially cheap or affordable guitars, but that basically holds true for any new guitar. I'm also going to be testing out this one and saying what I think about it, if this is a worthwhile investment as a €200 or dollar guitar. €200 is roughly $220, but I don't know exactly what these go for in the States. Let me know in the comments. Oh, and if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe, because hey, I have all sorts of gear reviews coming along, and music and lessons and all sorts of fun. Well, fun for me, I don't know if it's fun for you. Okay, so what do you do when you try out a new guitar? Let's start with that. Basically, first off, you just take a look at it. I think it's a totally valid reason to buy a guitar that you like the look of the guitar. Any kind of reason that makes you want to pick up that guitar and play that guitar is a valid reason to get one. So if someone says to you, that's a stupid reason to get a guitar, ignore that. If you like the look of something, chances are you'll play it just a tiny bit more. Now, the looks of a guitar, of course, not the only reason to get a guitar, but you also want to take a look at how it looks. The finish, for instance, might give you a few clues as to how well it's made. Now, this one, for instance, looks quite nicely made. The neck joint looks nice. There's not a gap between the neck and the actual body, because especially on some older affordable guitars, you could basically fit a credit card in between here, and that's not a good thing, especially if it's a set neck. No, but on bolt-on necks, this is a bolt-on neck, by the way, so it's screwed on here. Sometimes there's a gap between the neck and the body, and you don't want that. You look at the paint job, that looks nice. On the back here, I've unscrewed the back plate. I always do that because it gives me easier access to the setting up the actual guitar. I've not really done anything to this, I just always take this thing off. When I bought a cheaper guitar, which I've reviewed, by the way, there's a card here somewhere, a Harley Benton, what I saw when I took off the back plate was that this plate here, which anchors the springs, they'd actually drilled 3 holes because they couldn't be bothered to do it properly. This one is properly actually made, so it only has the 2 holes, which are the 2 required holes. No rattles, kind of nothing rattling around here, except for the tremolo arm. Everything kind of seems the way it should. Now, the next thing you should do is check the fret ends to see that they're not sticking out. Now, this guitar is a few months old, and when I got it, I checked the fret ends and it was nice. Everything was good. Now it's not so nice. And this is something that can happen with new guitars, even more expensive ones, but especially on cheaper guitars, the frets can start sticking out. And that's not a nice thing. You can basically almost cut yourself on these. I've had worse, or I've seen worse ones. This is not nice to play, not at all. Okay, so the fret ends on this one are sticking out. Not a good thing, but you can file those down, so it's not a huge issue. But then again, everything that you have to kind of fix with your new guitar, especially if you're a beginner, is not a good thing, because you want to be playing guitar, not fixing guitars. Well, some people like fixing stuff, but still, if you're a beginner, you want to be playing that guitar and not fixing fret ends and stuff like that. The next step when trying a new guitar, and I'm going to do it with this, is just try it acoustically. It's an electric guitar, but you should still try it acoustically. The reason you do that is to hear how it sounds just acoustically. If you don't really know too much about guitars, well, it'll be difficult to know what you're looking for. This one, but basically you should do it anyway. Now, what I've noticed here, there's fret buzz going on. That's because the neck, with time, just as the fret ends can start sticking out, the neck can have a bit of a life of its own. So in this case, it's bent a bit. It's bent like this, which means that you easily get fret buzz, and you can have even worse issues if it bends more. So you might basically get dead notes. That might also happen if you have a fret that's sticking out a bit. You might get two notes that are the same or basically dead notes. This one doesn't have that, but it has a bit of fret buzz going on here. Now you can easily adjust that from here, from the truss rod. So it has truss rod going through the neck, and there are videos on YouTube how to do that. The key word is be careful, because you don't want to snap the truss rod. Again, if you're a beginner, that's not something you want to be doing. You want to have a guitar that feels nice, and you pick it up and you play it, because it can be difficult enough as it is when you start playing. So that's basically everything you do kind of acoustically. Next, you hook it up and try it with an amp. Okay, so a Strat has a 5-way switch, which means that you have in position 1, you have this pickup, position 2, you have these two, middle position is this one, next one, these two, and lastly, this one. These are single coil pickups, so they'll make a lot of noise, especially if you're using overdrive. So that's what a single coil pickup sounds like on its own. I'm using a Marshall Plexi, which is not entirely clean, so here's my clean signal. Actually, that's bordering on being kind of, there's something wrong with the neck. So the pickup switch works. You can also try it by tapping with something that's made of metal, so it should now be only the neck pickup. Yep, only the neck pickup. Now it should be the two, the neck and the middle one. Yes, that's working nicely. Next you can check the volume. Well, you probably have. Then you have the tone knobs. Now I don't know how these are connected. I suspect that that one, this tone knob here, it might be for the kind of the bridge pickup. I was wrong. Seems that's for the middle one. And the next one is for the neck one. Okay, so the volume and the tone knobs work and the pickup selector works, so that's always a good thing. Yeah, so what happens when the neck bends this way is that it kind of gets, in a way, slightly easier to play because you get low string action, whereas it might bend the other way, which would be like that, which would mean that you would have extremely high string action, which would mean that it would be very difficult to play. Either way, you have to kind of set it up properly. String action is a matter of taste. Some like it higher, some like it lower. I like it fairly high, actually. The string action on this is just a bit too low, and it actually in some places sounds like it is really too low. It's killing sustain. How does it play? Still, it feels quite nice actually. If you disregard the fact that you're getting kind of nicked by the fret ends on a constant basis. Okay, let's try it with some overdrive. Turn it down a bit because it gets fairly noisy with the single coils. Now the noise you have with a single coil, you can easily take care of that with the help of just turning it into kind of you select two pickups. The noise you were hearing was basically my overdrive pedal, which makes a ton of noise. So I have a noise gate as well. But yeah. Yeah, not half bad. Let's see how it stays in tune. This is another thing that I think you should try doing. If you look at the whammy bar, the wang bar, the tremolo, a bit funny. On a really crappy guitar, it might just go out of tune. even with moderate use it stays in tune very nicely. I will bet you that if I push it down all the way, it won't stay in tune. Not entirely, but actually surprisingly well. That's got it, now it's out of tune. So, 200 smackaroos, or whatever you call them. 200 of your human dollars, whichever country you're from. That's roughly what this guitar costs. No one knows how many pounds it'll cost by the time this video is out due to Brexit. Yeah, definitely some positives and some not so positives. Let's start with the negatives. Fret ends, not very nice. You have to adjust the neck because it's been having a life of its own. Probably because the wood hasn't been entirely dry. It might have a bit more of a life of its own still, but this isn't as bad as it can get. It can get a lot worse. Positives, it looks fairly well made. There's no extra rattle going on. The finish looks nice. The parts, of course, look cheap, but that's to be expected. Those are easy enough to switch out for better ones later on if you like the guitar. Basically what you want from a guitar is the actual guitar itself should be good, because everything else you can swap out, get better pickups, and this thing will sound a lot better. It stays in tune, everything works, it feels relatively nice, disregarding the frets that is. Personal thing for me, I like the larger headstock on a Strat, so this is a nice touch. But yeah, not half bad for 200 euros or dollars. Now, kind of personal suggestion that I would have for you, if you have a couple of hundred lying around and you're thinking of buying a guitar, don't get a new one. I think you should get a second-hand one, because you can get a better one for the same price. And because it's second-hand, it'll already have had all of the issues that this guitar is having. So the fret ends won't start sticking out at any point. The neck will probably stay as it is. And it'll basically have revealed any surprises that it might have up its sleeve. Of course, there are other things you should look out for when buying used, such as are the frets in good condition, because they might be totally knackered from playing. But the actual guitar itself should be in good nick, and the quality of the wood will probably be better if it's an older guitar, because yeah, wood these days, it's not really readily available anymore. But this thing basically gets a thumbs up for me, just about. Although if you are a beginner and you do have to start mucking about with fret ends, then that turns into a no-no. It's not a difficult job, and the truss rod thing is not a difficult job, but it's all time spent away from playing guitar, and you really do want that momentum if you can get it, because it can be tricky enough as it is, and if you have to stop playing to set up the guitar, that's a big bother. So that's the Squier Affinity Strat. I have checked out an older Strat and compared it to an Yngwie Malmsteen Strat. There is a card here somewhere, so you can check that out. If you want to check out more of my gear reviews, there's a playlist here somewhere. I hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Comment, let me know if you have any experience with these Squier Affinity Strats. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification thing. Support me on Patreon, because I buy the gear that I review, so you get an honest review. Yeah, just about makes the grade. Just about. So, hope to see you in another one. Take care. Bye!